Hello and welcome to another episode with the Toronto Dog Whisperer. And today we're going to be covering a topic that affects a lot of people. It is a very, very common problem, and that is the issue of counter surfing. So a lot of dogs have this problem where they will grab a piece of food or something like that off of the counter or off of your coffee table, off of your plate, out of your hand, whatever the case may be. So today we're going to take you through a few techniques that you can try on your own that will help address this issue. This is a very common problem, and it's not just annoying. There are some safety issues as well. You can see Quinn there in the back. He actually grabbed a fudge brownie off of his owner's counter, and chocolate is very bad for dogs. It's can send them to the vet, and that's a problem. Not only that, it's a safety issue for children. So if your dog is very advantageous, they might grab some food out of a child's hand because they're much more accessible. So these are definitely serious issues that we want to address. And when you deal with one problem being like counter surfing, it has positive impacts in other areas, such as your dog taking something off of your plate or something out of a child's hand or something like that. So I'm going to take you through a few techniques. And before I do that, I'm going to show you some of the tools that we're going to be using for today's exercise. We have some kibble, we have some treats, over here we have a leash, some more treats, and this is an e-collar. This is optional, and what this does is it gives your dog a vibration when wearing this. Of course, it's not working now, but it just needs to be charged or whatever. I'm not going to be using it today's video, but it is very handy for exercises like this. It allows you to give your dog a quick correction without being close to them, and that remote capability is really handy. So hold on here, let me see if I can get it to work. There we go. So you can see it's like your cell phone going off. It's just a vibration. So what we're going to do is we're gonna do a layered type of approach where we start off with very simple, very basic techniques, and then we gradually increase the level of difficulty to get them to the point where we want them. So keep in mind that this is an exercise that you're going to need a lot of patience for, especially if you've never done this type of exercise with your dog. When I did the early stages with Quinn, the first time I did it, it took about 10 or 15 minutes. So it's definitely something that, if you're not the type of person who has a lot of patience, you might want to get somebody else to help you out. It's okay if they make a mistake. It's not a big deal. That's the whole point of the exercise. So the first place that you want to start is actually with your hand. So I'm going to use Quinn here. So I have some kibble in my hand, and I'm going to present it to him, and there you go. That's what I want. I want him to look at me, not the food. So just to make it a little bit easier to see, I'm going to get him to sit up. Up. Good boy. So you can see I'm not restricting him. The food is literally in front of his face. He wants it. Now, if they go to take it, all you got to do is just move your hands up like that. Quinn, up. Boy, come. He's very polite. So even though the food is right in front of him, it's not up to them whether they decide to take it or not. You can see the focus is on me, not on the food. Might be a little bit hard to see, but he's looking right into my eyes, and that's what you want. So just because the food is in front of him doesn't mean that he's going to take it. And this is the first stage of teaching your dog discipline when it comes to counter surfing and stuff like that. So once he looks at you and not at the food, you can go ahead and give him the food. And again, the first time I did this with Quinn, that exact exercise took 10 minutes, and the owner was getting really impatient and really frustrated and didn't think he was going to be able to do it. But it's one of those things where you persist. Now he does it like super fast. It's not a big deal at all. The next stage, after you complete that, is to actually put food on the floor. So I have a couple more pieces of kibble, and you do want to use something that they can eat. The reason why I'm not using treats is because this can take a while and you want to do a lot of practice. So kibble works better in this particular instance. I am going to use the treats later on though. So I'm going to put these down in front of me. You can see it's very accessible to him. It's about a foot away. Standing over it, and he's looking right at me. He's not looking at the food. He knows it's there. He's looking right into my eyes, and look how calm he is. That's the other thing. Dogs need to practice being calm around food. Even though food is really exciting to them, he is maintaining his calmness. Now, another thing that's going to help you with these types of exercises is what you do before the exercise, which is take them for a walk. So taking them for a walk before you do an exercise like this is great because it bleeds off some of that excess energy so that you have more chances of success when it comes to an exercise like this that takes discipline and patience. And look how relaxed he is. Ken's over there. She's not even concerned, and Mosley is chilling out in his bed there. So that food has been on the floor for quite a long time. I can actually get up and walk away. See, he moved towards it, so I stopped him. Now, if he would have taken it, that's okay. That would have been a mistake. We just would have repeated that exercise again. So it's really important that they give you space. And this is all tied into the whole counter surfing thing. Because obviously, if it's on the floor and he's not going for it, the same kind of is going to go hold true for, your plate or, your coffee table or whatever. So you can see he did take a look at it, but he's focused in on me. So he's waiting for me to give him the food instead of him making a decision to take it. So I'm going to pick up the food. I'm going to give it to him. He did really well. And look how calm he is. And they feel a real big sense of accomplishment when they do something like that. So after, doing that a few times, look how cute he is. Oh, it's ridiculous. He's one of the cutest dogs I've ever seen. Then you can start practicing on surfaces. So in this particular case, I'm going to use my coffee table. So you see how we're graduating from one to another, and I'm going to put the food on the coffee table. Now he knows that food is there. Here's Kenzie coming to check this out. She's an old hand at this. You can see they're interested in it, but she's not going to take it. Now Kenzie's on a diet, so she's always hungry. And if they get too close, for me, I like to use a snap as a way of correcting them. It's a very consistent sound, and they know not to do it. Now, I am sitting on my couch, and the kibble is on the coffee table. And you can see it's readily accessible to them, but they're not going to take it. This is part of the mental aspect of this exercise, is teaching them just because food is available to them and it is accessible, meaning it's on the floor or it's on the coffee table, doesn't mean they have permission to go ahead and take it. And this is working much more with the dog's psychology than it is with conditioning or training. The training part is just the practice. So you can see I can walk away completely. So it's not like I am guarding it, and you can see where the focus is. So it's not on the food, although he does know it's there. There you go. He's looking at me. He's not looking at the food. So another intermediate step, if you wanted to, is you could put it on a plate and simulate, why don't we actually do that? Food that's on a plate. Because, let's say you're eating dinner, and for me, this is like my only table. So let's say I'm eating dinner, and then I decide to go to the washroom, and the dogs are just out and about. They're not going to touch that food. And it's because we've gone through this exercise a number of times that they know not to take it. Okay? So he's been really, really good. Up. So I'm going to give it to him as a reward. Now, we're going to move on, and I'm going to show you a couple more ways that you can do this. So these are actual treats. I'm not a big proponent of dog treats. Somebody gave me this bag of treats like a year and a half ago, and it's still pretty full. I mean, I just don't give them treats. If I'm doing exercise with them, I usually just use Kibble or Affection. So I'm going to take this treat. Come on. I'm going to show it to them. I'm going to let them sniff it. Okay. Now you might think I'm baiting them, but I'm not. I am just intensifying the difficulty of this particular exercise. And I'm actually, whoops. You see how I dropped that and they didn't move towards it? That's how practical this exercise is. So imagine you're cooking or eating or something like that, and you accidentally drop something on the floor. The dogs aren't just going to go for it. Now, keep in mind, I have done this exercise with Quinn before, so he is familiar with it, but at the same time, I'm just showing you the technique. So I'm going to hang this treat right off the edge of the counter, and I'm going to walk away. And the idea is they know it's there. They can definitely smell it. They definitely want it, but it's there not for them to take because I haven't given it to them. So one of the things that you want to do when you're doing this exercise is steadily increase the distance that you are from the food that they're attracted to. So I can walk away, go into another room, and again, if he makes a mistake, it's okay. One of the things that you want to do is maintain your calm demeanor. You don't ever want to get upset. You don't want to get angry. You don't want to get frustrated. If they make a mistake, just go back and do the exercise again. This is probably an exercise you're going to have to practice, on a, you don't need to do it daily, but the more often you do it, the quicker it's going to take. So I can leave that treat up there, and you can see I'm fully away, and I can leave the room. Now initially you want to do this with a room, and you leave the door open so that you can hear if they do make a mistake, but at the same time, we're steadily increasing the challenge. Now I could leave this here and go outside in the hallway for a bit, or I could go into my washroom, close the door, and it's still there. So you can see the way this exercise works is it's slowly building up. So they get used to the idea of just because there's food somewhere in their vicinity where they have access to it, it doesn't mean that they take it. So I'm going to up the ante again, and I'm going to show you how to use the fork. I'm going to grab, this is Quinn's food. He gets a raw food diet. He's a very lucky boy, but it really helps. And I'm going to show you why we're going to use the fork in a second. So there you go. I put a bit, this is raw food. It doesn't get more tempting than raw food. So again, I'm going to take this, and it's not even on the counter. Even though this is a counter exercise, you can see he's not even looking at it. That's actually hovering over the counter. Okay? Now the reason why you want to use the fork is because what will most likely happen is they'll sniff it or lick it before they actually take it. And the fork will make a sound to indicate that they're actually going for it. So if you're in a different room, you can just listen for them possibly taking it. And if they do take it, you want to stop them or tell them, you know, disagree with the behavior without yelling, obviously, or anything like that, and just do it again. It's all about discipline. It's all about repetition. It's all about patience and practice with something like this. So I'm going to leave that fork there with that tasty bit of raw food just hanging off the edge. That's unrealistic, but in terms of the exercise, this is what you want. You want to make it more and more difficult. As they get more and more practice, you can see he's totally ignoring it. He's very relaxed. He's not anxious. He's not whining. This is called avoidance. So when they are just looking away like that, they're avoiding what they are confronted with. So I'm actually going to leave. I'm going to leave the food there. There's some treats there. There's a piece of raw food there. There's Quinn. There's my dogs. Okay, and I'm actually going to leave. And this is another layer of difficulty. Now, of course, they get excited, but at the end of the day, this is much more practical. Okay, now you do want to listen, and when you first do this, you want short intervals of time. And slowly but surely, you increase the interval of time that you're actually away. So a lot of people say, oh, well, my dog won't take anything while I'm around, but as soon as I leave, they take it. Well, this is part of the exercise that most people don't complete. The first part is with your direct supervision. But as you have success, you increase the level of difficulty. Oh my God, look at him. Does it get any cuter than that? And he knows it's there. But this is about discipline and proper manners. So a dog will never take something that isn't theirs as long as it's established that this isn't theirs. Even though it's his food, which he eats on a regular basis, it's mine until I give it to him. And it's not like a mean thing, it's not a cruel thing or whatever, it's just this is all part of the exercise. So they all know that it's there, but none of them are going to take it. And, you know, once you've practiced a bit, I mean, Quinn has done this exercise, I think, twice. And he is good as gold. So I could leave whatever I want on the counter and I don't have to worry that he's gonna jump up on the counter or take anything from it. Now, the important thing to note is once you do this exercise in your own home, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to translate into another environment. So if I were to take him back to his owner, I would do this exercise all over again, but in her environment, to make sure that he understands that that is what's expected of him. And you notice how much space they're giving. That's the same amount of space that they give me when I'm preparing their food. So I'll be in the kitchen preparing their food on the counter, and they give me space in that they don't crowd me. They don't whine, they don't cry, they don't hurry me in any type of form. It's very much an example of how even a 12-month-old puppy has the patience and discipline to wait. And, you know, he knows that, you know, when I give him food, he can take it. So he's looking at me. Good boy. So that's their reward. They're going to get fed. They're going to get treats and whatnot, but it has to be given to them instead of them taking it. That's it, guys. I mean, that's a really short summary. I know I kind of rushed through that, but obviously, like YouTube, you can't have like 2-hour-long episodes of content, so I like to keep it as short and sweet as possible. Those are the high-level exercises. If you do have access to an e-collar, that makes it a little bit easier, but if you don't have experience in using this, I don't recommend an e-collar for novices, just because the timing has to be right. And then if you're ever in question, just go back to your leash. You can do this exercise with the leash on if you have a really persistent case that, you know, not like these guys over here, and you can control them that way when you're doing the exercise with the food. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to send me an email or comment on the video. If this does prove to be helpful, I'd love to hear about it. If not, you know, like I said, every dog is different and not every single technique will work with every single dog. Till next time, Kens, what do we say? What do we say at the end of our videos? If you love your dog, take them for a walk. Thanks for watching. Okay, seeing as how it's a rainy day outside and there's not much shooting we can do outside, I thought I'd give you guys a life hack for your dogs. And this one is specific for the summertime, although you can use it in the wintertime. There's Quinn just hanging out in the crate. And this is how to keep your dogs cool in the summertime. So you can see I have a really big water dish for the dogs. I mean, I have 2 dogs of my own. However, I often am working with a dog. So right now, obviously, I have 3, so that's a lot of dogs. So a good sized water bowl is really handy, but that's not the life hack. This is the life hack for your dog. So during the summertime, I take a container, just a plastic container. This one is, I don't know, it's pretty big, but anyway, you just freeze that overnight, and then you loosen it up. There we go. Boom. And you have a massive ice cube. Now what this is going to do is keep your dog's water nice and cold for a very long time, and it's going to help cool them down after a long walk. and they really love it. So there you go. Life hack for dogs. Keep them cool. Hey, Mouse, Kens, you like cold water? Till next time, take care.